Welcome back everyone, Nox Guy here with another Destiny video, and today I'm going to be bringing you King's Fall the raid. Now this is part 2 of a multi-part series basically showing you how to complete the raid. This part is only showing you how to clear Annihilator's Totems. Now, to begin, I do suggest equipping a shotgun, making sure all of your Titans have the Defender subclass on, and using their bubble to either equip weapons or Blessings of Light. I also would like to point out that right here, you don't really want to run past this just yet. You need to communicate with your other teammates. This black orb is actually going to give you a shield that's going to protect you from taking damage from the floor. If you've played the Court of Orcs, you know exactly what I mean. Once you run past this orb or run through it, it'll actually begin the activity, and if one of the teammates on either side does not make it to the totem in time, it will wipe. Now, right now, we're basically just communicating. You want to get into 2 groups of 3, making sure that the teams are already preset and making sure that there's one person designated to say that I'm beginning, and you want to make sure that the person on the other side is ready to go and run through the orb at the same time. The only reason why I suggest that, if you shoot anything as well, it'll begin the activity, and if you don't make it to the totems on both sides in time, it'll completely wipe the activity and you'll have to restart. So, having 2 other people run with the third person to each of the totems is actually going to show you here in a second. Right now I'm running through it, and it's going to give me what's known as Brand of the Weavers and a timer on that far left corner. What that's actually doing is it's giving me a shield that's protecting me from the floor, and anybody that's standing near me or within that bubble, it's going to chain to them. As you can see, there's little gray chains actually connecting me to them. Now the timer, as you can see, is going down, and what's going to happen is when this timer runs out, it's going to give me a perk known as Deathsinger's Power, and it's going to give it to the next available guardian that's attached to me, and it's just at random. Whenever I lose Brand of the Weavers, I'm actually immune to the shield, and I actually will begin to take damage, so I have to run back to the center. So what's going to happen is when I get to the center, I'm going to clear some of these AoEs and I'm going to activate the plate, and right here you can see that there's a light that lights up on the side of the door, and what that means is that I've actually begun and activated the first step to the door, and there's multiple symbols lining all the way up to the top of the door, so you have to rotate and do this process over and over again. Once you lose your Deathsinger's Power, which you'll see on the left corner, I don't really pay attention to it because I want to clear everything, but once you lose it, you basically can run back to the plate onto the other side and wait for the next person's shield to deactivate so you can receive it. And also, if you want to communicate, what we did right there is the person that had the bubble basically said, hey, my timer is up, I'm running to the center, and you can rotate. That means that you can come off the middle plate and run back to the totem. So when this player right here loses his shield, it'll chain to you. Now what'll happen is if this player loses his timer, or his timer runs out and no one's with him and the bubble's not, or the shield's not chained to another player, the shield will actually just deactivate, and basically everybody's going to be able to take damage and it'll wipe. Another thing, the AoEs in this area aren't too bad, but this knight up on top becomes a real bitch, and you want to actually make sure that you call him out and prioritize him if you have any other guardians with you, because he can really take a lot of damage to you if you're not paying attention. Most of the beginning AoEs are usually just thralls and a few alkalites. You can take those out pretty quick with any standard auto, pulse, or scout rifle. Right here I've lost basically my shield abilities, and we end up running into each other, but I get Deathsinger's Power again, and I'm going to run to the center, and you can see right here exactly why I meant for you to have the Titan set up a bubble, because even though you run through the center, you don't really have to kill everything, and a lot of it's a little bit harder to kill because you're going to be spending a lot of time and ammo. So with the bubble, it basically allows you to stand inside there and just activate the light without having to worry about killing a lot of the AoEs. The wizards are a little bit of a bitch. You end up rotating more before you actually get them killed anyways. As you can tell right here, we basically completed 5 lights, full rotations, and the other player told him saying, hey, my bubble is done, I'm going to come into the center, and then I'm running back out to the other side. Communication is going to be extremely key. I can't stress that enough. We did wipe quite a few times because either one player was not rotating in time, or they either just got killed in the center. Whenever you run to the center plate, I do suggest running around a lot, not getting off the plate, but making sure you move around a lot. The damage is usually splash, so you're not going to take a lot of it if you're further away from it, but it is a good idea to make sure you're not standing still so you're not taking a lot of damage at once. Now, the further you do get to completing the door, The AoEs do get a little bit more clustered, and what's going to happen is knights are actually going to start to spawn in and they're going to come to your plate. This is why I suggested a shotgun. I mean, you can use any standard gun that you feel comfortable using, but those knights do run up on you pretty quick, and a shotgun's usually the fastest thing to be able to take care of them because it is close quarters. Again, we're rotating here again if you want to look and see. We're almost complete on the door, and another thing with the door, even though the lights are completely filled all the way to the top, that doesn't mean that it's complete. Basically, that just means you've completed the last step of the door and you need to unlock it. So you have to rotate one more time, even if you see the last light done, to unlock the door. See, as you can tell right here, I'm actually not even killing anything. I'm just running around making sure that I use my Deathsinger's power on that plate. And if I have to, I will kill one or two things to make sure that the light does activate. It's a little bit tedious and time consuming, especially with communication. We had all 6 players communicating at this point, so without having anybody with the mic, it will get a little bit confusing unless they know this rotation standard. But typically it really isn't that hard. You can actually do it with 2 people on each side, but it does get a little bit frustrating because that timer becomes really short. You'll have to run off the plate with the Deathsinger at like 1 or 2 times multiplier, and you'll have to make it back to the plate before that bubble goes away. Now, as you'll see right here, whenever I get up to the plate, you're going to see what I mean by all of the lights are activated, but it's not completed. If you look up here on top, which I'll look at the door here in 1 second, he actually dropped a bubble, which helped me out a lot. Those wizards were really doing a lot of damage to everything. But right there, if you look at the door, all the lights lined up to the door are finally completed, which means we did the last step of opening the door, but we still have to do one more rotation to unlock the door. And at this point, as long as someone's standing on each of the totems and they've just received the shield, you don't actually have to run back. But if you do run off the totems before the unlock process is done, you will wipe. As you can tell right here, you'll notice whenever the checkpoint is activated, because everything in the room is going to clear out and you're not going to be taking any more damage on the floor. So just a few more tips, or to repeat the tips that I've already suggested. Shotguns are pretty crucial for close range. Defender Titans are going to be really important, and making sure that you rotate and you communicate a lot, and having 2 groups of 3 that are well communicated is going to be pretty important.